They say some moments don't just pass, they stay, settling quietly into your bones until they become a part of you. For the longest time, I thought that was just something people said to make ordinary memories feel heavier than they really were. Something poetic to dress up regret, but now I know better because it's been 3 years since that night. 3 years since everything shifted in a way I never planned for, never prepared for. The kind of shift that doesn't arrive like a storm, but like a whisper, soft, almost unnoticeable at first, until you realize it's already changed the air around you, and I wish I could say I saw it coming. That there were warning signs I chose to ignore, but the truth is it felt harmless in the beginning, simple even. And it all started during a night that was supposed to be ordinary. My husband Mark and I had people over. Laughter filling the house in that hollow way it sometimes does when everyone is pretending to enjoy themselves. And conversations didn't die, playing the role I had perfected over the years, the good wife, the present hostess. And then he walked in late, Ryan, not my brother anymore in this version of the story, but someone who had known me for years, a close family friend who had been around long enough to feel familiar, safe. Someone who used to come over during holidays, someone who knew my past in quiet fragments. And he carried that same easy presence, that same calm energy that made everything feel lighter. He greeted everyone casually before his eyes landed on me, and there was something about that moment. Something small but undeniable. The way he actually looked at me instead of through me. The way his attention didn't feel rushed or distracted, and it wasn't dramatic, it wasn't obvious. Just a slight pause, a second longer than necessary, but it was enough. Enough to make something inside me stir in a way I hadn't felt in years. And later that night, when everyone had gone home and the house finally exhaled into silence, when he walked in quietly, offering to help, and we didn't say much at first, just small things. But the silence between those words felt different, heavier, like it was holding something unspoken. And for the first time in a long time I felt seen, not as a wife, not as a mother, not as someone fulfilling expectations. Not with anything physical, not with anything intentional, but with that quiet awareness that someone noticed me. In a way I had been missing for years, because the truth is my life had slowly become something I didn't recognize. Mark was a good man in all the ways that are easy to explain to others. He worked hard, he provided. He never crossed obvious lines, but somewhere along the way he stopped being present. Ryan moved into our guest room a few weeks later after going through a difficult breakup. It made sense at the time. We had the space and he needed somewhere to land. And at first it felt normal, helpful even. He brought a kind of warmth back into the house that I hadn't realized was missing. He played with the kids, made them laugh in ways that felt effortless, helped with small things without being asked. And he talked to me, really talked to me, asking how I was, waiting for the answer, remembering details, noticing changes. And those small things, the kind that seem insignificant from the outside, started to matter more than they should have. Because when you've been emotionally overlooked for long enough, even the smallest gestures start to feel meaningful. Sitting at the kitchen table with cups of tea, talking about everything and nothing, conversations that felt easy, natural, like slipping into something familiar, and I told myself it was harmless, that it was just comfort, just connection. Something I had been missing, but deep down I knew it was becoming something more complicated, something harder to define. And there was one night in particular, a quiet one, rain tapping softly against the windows. And I remember asking him what he meant, and he just looked at me and said, "There used to be a light in my eyes that felt dim now." And hearing that, being seen in that way, it did something to me, something I wasn't ready to confront. And after that I started noticing everything, the way he paid attention, the way he looked at me when he thought I wasn't aware. The way his presence made the house feel less empty, and I hated how much it affected me. How much I began to look forward to those moments, because I knew it wasn't just about friendship anymore. Even if nothing had crossed a line yet, and then came that day at the beach, one of those bright, ordinary days that somehow end up becoming something more. We went as a family, Mark distracted as usual, the kids full of energy, Ryan fully present with them, laughing, playing, and I found myself watching him, noticing the contrast between what I had and what I was missing, and when I stepped into the cold water. And he wrapped a towel around my shoulders without hesitation. It wasn't the action itself that stayed with me. And from there, everything shifted slowly, not in one dramatic moment, but in a series of small ones. Late-night conversations turning more personal, silences becoming more meaningful, glances lasting just a little too long. Until eventually we found ourselves in a moment where the line we had been circling finally blurred. It was subtle at first, a touch that lingered, a pause that stretched, a shared look that said more than words could. Like both of us understood the weight of it even as it unfolded, and the moment it ended we both knew nothing would ever be the same. Because it wasn't just about what happened, it was about everything it represented, everything it revealed about the emptiness I had been carrying, about the connection I had been craving, and the days that followed were filled with a kind of silence that felt louder than any argument. A distance that grew between us even as we remained in the same space, because once something like that happens, you can't go back to what things were before. And I found myself caught between guilt and something else I didn't want to name, something that felt dangerously close to longing. And I started questioning everything, my marriage, my choices, my own sense of who I was. And even now, years later, I still don't have a clear answer, because some moments don't come with explanations. They just stay with you, shaping the way you see yourself, the way you understand love, the way you define right and wrong. And maybe that's the hardest part of all, not knowing whether that night was a mistake I wish I could undo, or a reflection of something deeper that had been waiting to surface all along, because sometimes the lines we believe are unbreakable aren't as solid as we think. And sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't desire, it's the quiet, persistent feeling of finally being seen.